Hello, I'm Sebastian Andrew. Today I'm going to talk about dying. I have died more times than I care to count. Now, some people would argue I didn't die uh, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 years ago in September. I arrested 3 times, and they would say that that was not dying because, for whatever reason, to me, I died. My body, at least part of my body, stopped functioning enough to um, garner that act of emergency in doctors and caregivers. Times before that I died, one of which I have mentioned, that was when I went to the abyss and met Abby, and that the grand intelligence, well, Abby is the grand intelligence that I went and visited. And there were times, at least twice before that, in which I found myself in a vast darkness, not necessarily the abyss, just a space of nothing. One thing I've learned in my experiences with the spiritual is a lot of it has to do with a person's perception. And oddly enough, the perception stays with you long after your body stops working. There have been debates, discussions, talks. I'm surprised TED Talks hasn't started this. Maybe they haven't, I just haven't found it yet. That the mind is not part of the body. A person's mind, a person's perception is outside the body. A number of spiritualists, latest of which is Bashir, have stated that you are not a human having a spiritual experience, you are a spirit having a human experience. I tend to see it a little differently. And I've mentioned this before, I think, in that while we are all individuals in our own fashion, when it comes right down to it, we're not. We are not individuals. We are in that, well, let's see. If we look at it from a tech standpoint, we are individual computers. We are laptops and cell phones and desktops and servers and so on and so forth. Now, each of those systems, while they are all basically created equal, they are individual. in the aspect of they are, well, they're made individual by the user. We make our machines individual by putting a bit of our personality into them, whether that's the backgrounds and the apps and the contacts, the way we use them, the way we utilize them. So we, body, are the computers of a much larger system. You see this better if you can wrap your head around Abby and the abyss. Because when I was there, I recognized it as a vast intelligence. There were no boundaries. It just went on forever. So in this realm, whomever started this whole ball of wax rolling, we are individuals of her intelligence. And I say her because, at least in our realm, the female is primary to creation. So, at least for around here, it would make more sense to say that the overall being who is watching us be idiots is a woman, is female. I mean, even if you take that wonderful work of fiction, the Holy Bible, and you look at some of the first passages taken down, Goddess created us in her image. Well, Goddess created us in their image. So there's more than one. There's male, there's female, there's non, which I'm not quite, how the asexual. The words, I don't know what they're called nowadays. Although I did try looking it up because the thought occurred to me. Actually, I think it was more like thrown at me. That Twist, who is the next step up from me, the one who will eventually be taking control, is all three sexes, male, female, and not. And that comes about because the three, well, three as you see it currently, sexes or not, are in this body. There's me, Sebastian, and I'm not telling you what sex I am. I'm sure you can guess. There's Andrew, who is male, and a right royal pain in the ass, which marks most males anyway. And there's Hyde, who's not. Hyde is kind of an it. So when you whip the three together, you get twist. But then there's more. See, twist has a phrase that he's been throwing at me ever since he came up with it. And I call him he simply because it's easier to label it him, it that way. What I am and what I'll be is not quite something that you'll see. So there's something hidden in what twist is. But to my thinking, my perception, twist currently is all three together. Kind of like the Celtic coils, the three coils all together. There's a word for that. I never can say it right. I think it's Triskele. 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 So there's that. And that is very likely what the overarching knowledge, the overarching deity is, who washes over all of us. When I first started learning about the older deities, Sumerian and Mesopotamian ones, and started with Lilith, one of the first pictures I found was of a female type body floating in the sky with faces circling her. And the name that came to mind was One Mother, Many Faces. Now there's a demon, Dentalion, who also shows up as a being of many faces. And Dentalion's description, one of the ones I found, was that they represent their contract to humanity, to teach humanity about magic and metaphysics, because the way they showed themselves to various artists at the time they were being discovered and evoked was they carried a book. And the book was said to carry all the knowledge that they would teach to the practitioner. Another aspect of Dentalion was a dandelion. And as you know, when a dandelion flower turns into the seeds, it could be interpreted as many faces, many beings. And then when you blow on it, all those seeds, all that knowledge spreads. Now, the downside of that is that most people look upon dandelions as weeds. They're not. Dandelions have many uses, and I'm not going to go into that now. We'll do another video on herbs and things. But something to think about is us being individuals, but being part of something larger. And being part of something larger makes us not so different after all. Our bodies, our interfaces look different for whatever reason. But when you look right down to the basis, it's a hand. This is her. This is the overall. These are the individuals that reside within her realm. And the individuals that reside within her realm aren't just human. Think of anything with a brain, anything with consciousness, anything with life, even trees. That's another interface. Everything is energy. Everything links back to her. Everything is her. And she is the grandest energy one could ever think of. Imagine that.